So we had a shooting in Nashville the other day. There are 6 victims who are dead, 3 adults, 3 children. It was at an elementary school. Audrey Hale is the person who committed the shooting. She is transgender. The right is, of course, using this fact to fan the flames of hatred and make it seem like trans terrorism is a colossal issue that needs to be addressed, even though like 99.9% of shootings are not done by trans people. They just disregard that fact and come up with whatever examples they can of trans shooters and act like, see, we need to do something about this. And it's because this is the culture war and this is what they do. And they want to make it seem like it's deranged and degenerate and evil and terrible and bad and you're icky and wrong if you're trans or whatever. And so this is the angle they focus on. They don't focus on, for example, the fact that she was able to get 7 guns legally when she was on the record as having an emotional disorder and her own family members said she shouldn't be able to have guns. They don't talk about that. They talk about the fact that she's trans. Okay, well, anyway, Candace Owens went through a list of what she described as the most horrific takes on the Nashville shooting. By the way, amazing, we may have found the first mass shooting that every right-wing commentator felt the need to comment on. Gee, I wonder if that's because the shooter was trans. I wonder. I mean, look, and I've experienced this too, where you'll have a shooting and it's like you're doing prep for the show and you're like, well, should we cover it? And it's like, I don't know. These have become so common that it's like, is it even really news at this point? If you have a mass shooting and like 3 people die, it's like, does that make the show? I don't know. And so we're all like desensitized to it. But the fact that this one was done by a trans person means they could hammer away on one of their pet issues. Transness is wrong and bad. And so they all decided, let's talk about it. So anyway, she gets to one of the takes that she thinks is the most horrific. And it happens to be from David Pakman. So let's see her fake outrage and see what David Pakman said and we'll react.
Let's talk about anti-Christian bigotry that's taking place. Well, we found out the children, the 9-year-olds that were shot to death at an elementary school were Christian. So this was a good opportunity for David Pakman to issue this tweet. He wrote, "Very surprising that there would be a mass shooting at a Christian school, given that lack of prayer is often blamed for these horrible events. Is it possible they weren't praying enough or correctly despite being a Christian school?" I have no words for the hatred that I am feeling in this moment for this individual. I have no words for David Pakman. Could you imagine waking up and learning that 9-year-olds had been slaughtered and shot, and what you think the right thing to do is to make a joke about the fact that they're also Christians and they pray, and maybe they just weren't praying the right way at this Christian school?
She's so dense. She's so dense, it's unbelievable. Candace, the point that he's making is to mock you guys, because after every single mass shooting, every Republican politician in the country and every right-wing commentator is out there within the first 5 hours saying, oh, thoughts and prayers. Oh, we give you our thoughts and our prayers. We give you our thoughts and prayers. And it's become a bit of a meme, a bit of a joke that like the most we can muster up after another mass slaughter fest is some thoughts and some prayers, which is basically like coming out and saying, I'll hope that this doesn't happen again. That's what I'll do. I'll say, man, I really hope this doesn't happen again, but am I going to actually do anything about it? No, of course not. Am I actually going to support any legislation that could change this? No, of course not. So what he's doing is mocking the people who actively have no solutions and are part of the problem in many ways. When they come out and say thoughts and prayers, that's all I'm going to offer you is thoughts and prayers. Not legislation, not gun reform, thoughts and prayers. And so the point he's making is, hey, isn't it ironic? If you guys seem to think thoughts and prayers are always the answer, it's the best solution, it's the best way to react to this stuff, it's the best way to prevent the next one, well, isn't that weird? There was a shooting at a Christian school. So it seems like prayers are not necessarily the thing that's actually going to save lives when it comes to this issue. Now, is it? He is making what is effectively the most benign point you could possibly make in the aftermath of the shooting. Like, okay, I didn't tweet that. Why didn't I tweet it? Because I think it's too obvious, right? Like, it's like a duh thing. Like, yeah, oh, your guy's solution is thoughts and prayers. Well, how did those prayers work out for you? This was a Christian school. No doubt they were praying, and look what happened. Almost like prayers don't work, right? That's his point. His point is to mock you guys. And right over your head. And what does she go? Anti-Christian bigotry. Anti-Christian bigotry. Please, spare me. Spare me, man.
David Pakman does not have a soul. He doesn't have a soul. And if you think that he was embarrassed about this tweet, well, he did take it down, but here's why he took it down. Because he's the victim. He tweeted, all right, too many anti-Semitic attacks and threats to my family. I've deleted the tweets. Yeah, you guys, you're actually in the wrong for noticing how sick and how sinister and how soulless he is. So now he's going to hide behind the fact that he's Jewish.
No, Candace. His dad was literally getting death threats. That's what happened. And so that's why he deleted the tweet. Because he didn't want his dad, who has nothing to do with any of this, to continue to get death threats. That's what he's saying there. And that is the case. His dad was getting death threats. So, not that he's playing the victim. It's that he's saying, hey, my benign, obvious commentary is now leading to an insane backlash.
These anti-Semitic tweets that he allegedly received. He's just going to delete the tweet so that he doesn't have to deal with any consequences for his immoral behavior online. I thought I had seen it all.
His immoral behavior online. A very obvious political point that is non-controversial to anybody with a brain is immorality and anti-Christian bigotry. Unbelievable. Again, I think the most important point here is we finally found a mass shooting that every pundit on the right is talking about. It just happens to be because the shooter was trans, but all it takes to get them to actually care about mass shootings is to have some minority figure carry out the mass shooting. You know, if it's just another lonely, awkward white dude, young white guy, they'll go back to yawning in the face of every mass shooting, and they'll go back to offering thoughts and prayers. By the way, just wait for it, man. There's going to be many takes now. All of a sudden, all the pro-gun, Second Amendment stuff, all that will be out the window, and they'll try to say trans people should not be allowed to own weapons. I'm telling you, it's coming. It is definitely coming. It is definitely coming. They wouldn't take the obvious position of, like, people with severe mental health issues shouldn't have guns, or people whose family members say they're a threat and they shouldn't have guns. They're going to go right to, like, trans people specifically shouldn't have guns. Because we have a trans terrorism problem because a whopping 3 or 4 mass shooters have been trans, whereas there's been tens of thousands of non-trans shooters. Anyway, you guys get the gist of it. I'm a little annoyed by how fake the dialogue and the discourse is around this. And I love how David Pakman's benign reaction, just pointing out the obvious fact that the only thing you guys believe in is thoughts and prayers. The only thing you believe in is thoughts and prayers. How that led to a meltdown. I mean, by the way, also Don Jr. was on this too. Like, these people just fish the internet for things to get, like, super outraged by, and they misfire all the time. If you want to see me and Crystal Ball interview legends like Noam Chomsky, Cornel West, and more, subscribe to Crystal, Kyle, and Friends on Substack. $5 a month gets you the video version a day early. Remember, we take 0 ad dollars for this podcast. Or you can sign up on Substack for free and get the audio version a day later. Link in the video description box below.